Hey, what's up, guys? It's METAGAMESGX here, and we are going to be taking a look at my new Master branded deck profile from Master Duel, obviously. I recently hit the Master rank with it on stream. If you guys want to check that out, we did it across 2 different streams, so it's pretty bite-sized this time. We hit it pretty fast with this build. It changed a little bit, but this was what we ended up landing on, and this got us to the finish line. We had a really good win streak at the end of it. I'm going to show off the deck list and show off a bunch of games from it at the end of this game, or at the end of this deck profile. So if you guys want to see more Master Duel deck, gameplay, get this video to 200 likes and we will get some more lists, combos, and of course gameplay out to you. But yeah, I think Branded's still very good. I know with Dominus Impulse now in the meta, and Blue Eyes being the best deck, I think that, and Snake Eyes still being around, with Beatrice now banned, the format has kind of taken hold, and Branded is starting to fall out of favor somewhat, because before, I think Blue Eye, Branded was considered really a top 3 deck. It did just, do very well in the last DC Cup and has been getting multiple places in the top 10 on the leaderboard for the last few months. And I think that will continue this month. I think just some people, they see Dominus Impulse and they're like, oh, Branded's dead. But I'm here to show you the guys that Branded's very much still alive. And you have a lot of different options, even with cards that aren't in this list, but I think this is probably going to be one of your best lists that you can run at least until Master rank. We'll see how it changes with Master 1, and we'll get a deck list out once I hit Master 1 this month, but I want to get you guys out this deck list before, because I think a lot of people are looking for branded lists right now in the current format, and this one's very good. So yeah, let's go over it, guys. Well, obviously, it's a 60 card build, and I think 60 cards the way in Master Duel, because you have things called Verte Anaconda, and this thing basically converts any 2 monsters into branded fusion. So I feel like running 60 ends up being actually quite good, because I get to have enough options while also running enough gas, because, I think Grass Looks Greener is an absolutely free card in branded, so I think running any way to facilitate this is very good. And we have things like Triple Tactics Thrust to also search it, which is very good. So we'll talk about that, but I want to go over the branded engine, and then we'll talk about the non-engine and what the game plan is for this deck. I can also show off some combos with this video, because I want to show you guys really what you want to be doing with this build on your standard combo, and then also what you want to do through Maxi and Mulcharmy, because I know a lot of people they're like, you're running Sanctifier with no lock, are you crazy? And I think that Sanctifier should be ran in every brand deck, even if you don't run the lock. I think you are incorrect if you are not running Sanctifier without the lock, because this thing helps you play through Maxi and Mulcharmy, and Maxi is just so prevalent in this format. So I think that is very much required. So first of all, we're running 3 Fallen of Albaz. I think this is quite standard. There have been lists that have even done better than me, running only 2, so that is an option, but I think running 3 is mandatory when you're running things like Grass Looks Greener for, long-term grinds, because you're just going to get into a lot of grind games where you're just going to need that 3rd Fallen of Albaz. It's also a piece for Allure of Darkness and Brandon High Spirit, so I think it's very much just fine to have at 3 in this build. And we're also running 3 Aluber. It's the best 1-card starter in the deck. I'm running the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord to make all my 1-card Alubers just basically extraordinarily full combo, just super, super good. Like, this card is just your best starter, and we play lots of ways to dodge hand traps with it. So we're also running 2 Cartesia, 1 Quem for the girls. I think this is a very standard ratio at this point. I think that 3 Cartesia can start getting bricky going second, and then 2 Quem is the same issue. I've gone in and out of running 2 Quem, but I mostly settled on, I cut the 2nd Quem very early into this grind, because it wasn't coming up enough. And then without having a lock in the deck, I don't think it really comes up enough. And then also you really, if you play a good grinding game, I don't think you really need the 2nd one most of the time, so that's fine. And then we're running 1 kit, because we're also doing Brandon High Spirits, so it comes up with kit a lot, so that we can insulate our lines through Ash Blossom, which I still don't see a lot of people doing, but you can do that a lot of the time. And all you have to do is run kit, and then you can just, if you have any Brandon High Spirits and alive with Aluber, essentially you can, if you get Ash, you'll still have an Albion in the graveyard, which gets you to where you need to, or maybe even a Titanclad, which can get you to Quem, which is an onboard piece. So that's very good. And then we're running 3 Shrouded Dragon. That's totally fine. I think that's pretty standard. And then it's just consistency. And then 3 Lubellion. A lot of people ask me about this. Still, and once again, it's because of Verte Anaconda. Any branded card plus Lubellion, any monster plus Lubellion is Verte, right? So like this also helps you, insulate your branded combos at all points. It's also a dark and a dragon for high spirits and allure, so it helps your deck just synergize a lot better. And it's also a board breaker in some level if you run the Duro Swarm, but it's also, it gets you to branded loss, so I think it's a board breaker on its own. So it forces interruption because you can force a Lubellion and then your opponent has to interact with it, or if they don't, they just lose the game on the spot, which a lot of people still do. So I think 3 is mandatory in Master Duel. I think if you're not running 3, you are and if you're not running Verte, you're really missing out. So we're gonna have to make a video on like cards you need to be running unbranded that people still aren't running in branded. And then, so that's it for the monsters outside of the Mercuriers. And then Tragedy, we're obviously running the Allure, so double Mercurier is very good. And also just need another Dark, so yeah. And then 3 Molcharmi, 3 Ash Blossom, and then the Bestials, once again, 1 Saronir, 1 Magnemite. I do think that the 1 Saronir is totally fine. This card's quite bricky, so I'm happy with that one. And yeah, the Ash Blossoms are quite good too. I highly recommend them just for Maxi. It's also a really good draw off of Guardian Chimera and Maxi itself. So I think that's totally, I love these. These were great on the grind, honestly, with how much Blue Eyes and then also, hitting the spell or just even hitting the Sage and crippling their combos, very nice. And then also Molcharmi is just incredible, just God card alongside Maxi, and it's also a high spirits bridge. So this card's great. And then for the spells and traps for branded engine, we'll just go in order of the spells and traps and make it easy. Some consistency 1 card starters, 2 gold sark, 1 foolish, and then we're running 2 allure. I think that this is a very tight main deck, so I don't want to brick on allure. We are running like Molcharmi and Ash Blossom, so allure can be a little bit bricky when you're already running the high spirits too. So I think running 2 is just fine for consistency reasons. And then 1 Grass Looks Greener, like I said, it's like the best non-engine in this deck that acts like engine because it gets you to branded fusion, plus a lot of cards. It gets you to like Albaz Engrave, Cartesian Grave, right? So it's just so good. It sets up your whole graveyard. And it's full combo. Also great going second. It's a great search off a thrust. It's your best search off a thrust besides talents and branded fusion. So that's very big. And then 1 fusion deployment because you just want to have, it's just another Cartesia. It's a really good starter. You don't want to draw multiples of it, and you don't want to draw too many Cartesia going second. So that's kind of why I'm at 1. And also it locks you, so you can't go into Verte. So we're trying to do lines that go through not being locked, so we can make Verte if we get hand trapped like multiple times, which that is like the goal of this deck. Like it plays through like 2 to 3 hand traps on most good hands basically, and then maybe even more depending. So I do think this deck is pretty insane at playing through hand traps still. Even Dominus Impulse, we aren't running Nadir Servant, that was in a previous portion of this build, but I don't think it's like overall worth it going second right now. But once again, it's definitely like viable. I'm just not running it in my build. Like maybe if I took out the Ash Blossoms, I'd run Nadir, right? I just value Ash Blossoms, which is, it's just so good if you lose the die roll. Like I want to not just like get FTK'd if I lose die roll. So running the Molcharmi, Fulos, and Maxi is, I think, like kind of required in this kind of meta when you like Blue Eyes just sets up such a good board that if you don't draw the Albaz, you really can't out, and that's why we're running the Alba Lineatus for the Blue Eyes, obviously. And then so just 1 for so I don't get locked. It's a great card once again. I think it's a lot better at 3 in TCG because we don't have Verte, and there's just so many hand traps in the TCG. So I think that deployment is definitely the play. When Malice and Ryzeal comes out, we could reevaluate this card because if we have a ton of hand traps, I think this card gets a little bit better. And then also talents for the thrust, so we can search off of that. And then Brandon and White. This card's so good. I think it's required with grass, but it's also just like such a good crackback. Like there's a lot of, I hope some of the games show off where like this becomes like my best turn 4 or 5 card. It's like such a good closer for games. If you need like a way to like push like 1 more time through your opponent's board, this card's great. And that's what this build is going for. It's going for a really good grind game because a lot of the games do get to be pretty grindy because you aren't running a lock, so you can shut them out a lot of the time, and we are running Quertus to help OTK with double Jade, so it's possible, but and plus board breakers, but we have to play for the grind game because of the hand traps and you know, just how grindy a lot of this meta is. It's definitely a better format than last format. I will not lie. The Beatrice ban definitely did do a pretty good bit to make the format a bit better, but Blue Eyes is still a bit overtuned. One branded fusion, bring it back to 2 Konami cowards. 1 branded lost, such a good card, and then 2 thrust. I'm not running 3, it's just once again same logic with Allure and High Spirits. It's just another spell that you can brick on going first, but it's very good. I still want it. It's just another copy of like Grass or like branded fusion going second, so I think it's like really important for that reason. And then 3 super poly. It's just like the best board breaker in branded, just period, end the story across any format. So I'm running it here. I think a lot of people ask me, like, they're like, where are your super poly targets? And this is it. 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 Like literally all these cards are super poly targets except for Guardian Chimera. Basically, so, you know, your mileage may vary, but essentially like going normal summon chain super poly on Imperm, right, is like really good. And then also just like, you know, using one of your cards is not, you know, of course it's always premium to use 2 of your opponent's monsters, but that doesn't always have to be the thing. And also I think it's more important to make a usable monster than using 2 of your opponent's monsters with super poly. I think making a Mirror Jade is way better than making a Garura, you know, so that's kind of my logic on super poly being so good and branded without like running traditional you know, slots. I think Stapelia was in here at one point. I do miss Stapelia. Stapelia would probably be my 16th card, honestly, in the extra deck. And then 2 Called By, I think this is mandatory. 3 Droplet, very good card. It's just very good into Blue Eyes and helps you play through the end boards. And then 3 Opening. I'm back and forth on this card at 2 or 3. It locks you, but it's just a 1-card starter. I mean, it does discard, so it's not great going second. But you guys see I'm like kind of needing on 1-card starters sometimes. But with, once again, Verte, it's a lot easier to justify the lack of 1-card starters as long as you can stick 2 bodies. Like with your Lubellion, that you're good. This does lock you, but it's just making it so I always see at least a Luber, and you guys can see in these test hands. So this is how I test hands, guys. You can basically just shuffle. Yeah, you can sample draw 5 and just shuffle hands and see how many hands can go first and going second. Like this is still Verte for the most part because Lubellion gets you to a body, normal summon Fulos, and then Shrouded gets you, you know, to a 1-card starter, better yet, or if they activate your thrust, great. You know, that's how a lot, you know, super poly, great. Going first, great. Like this hand going first, going second, great. Like that's how a lot of these hands, like I want to always at least see like a way to branded fusion plus like a way to board break. And, you know, they all can't be bangers, but like you want to make sure that they're as consistent as possible. Like this one going second is still fine, so it's like whatever, and then just drawing into Fulos, whatever, like normal summon Albaz, put super loss, get search kit, you know, play the game. A lot of these hands are very consistent going first and going second, but I think this is definitely like better than my hand trap build. I thought the hand trap build was required because of Beatrice, but now that Beatrice is no longer here, I don't think you really have to run the hand trap build anymore. Also, by the way, buy the METAGAMESGX Sanctifier hat, guys. It's on my website, plus the hoodie that I don't have on right now, but lots of great merch in my branded spreadsheet on my website if you guys want to pick that up and support the channel. Anyways, so yeah, 2 High Spirits. It's I've also been back and forth on this at 3. It's just one of the best like ways to play through hand traps and insulate your line, so this could very easily go 3. But at 2, just, you know, sometimes you just don't have a target, so I'm, you know, better safe than sorry. 1 red, 1 duplication or banishment. So red is just like so good. Obviously I was running 2 at certain points, but I'm running the banishment and double ret instead of running the double red. I think the double red is very good for the grind game, and also it's just an unboard piece, so you can always have one for your combo, or just like, you know, having a discard fodder, or just like a grind game piece, and then you have one to set and then further be a grind game piece and give you back a card. Like always having something to send off a Shrouded is so good in the grind game. I think a lot of people just like really undervalue because they don't run like branded sword or, you know, double retribution or even all 3 of them. You know, I could see myself adding branded sword and possibly in the future, just because I think having the ability to go like turn 4 or 5, 6, making Shrouded Dragon like literally just the best follow-up piece. You can search off a lost in your grind game or just have it, you know, in your graveyard, right? Just straight up, right? Like it will always just like be able to give you back branded fusion or a starter or something like that, or just like the combo piece you need with things like double retribution and branded sword. So I'm running the double retribution because I think it's just better than branded sword, and 1 retribution. I think double ret is just better. It's just like way more like malleable. You can like I just mentioned. And then Banishment, I was not running this a lot of the time last format. I do think with less engraver, stuff like that, and Bestials, I think Banishment gets a lot better, and I'm back to the lad, making the 1-card Aluber combo just amazing. So, and you guys have seen from a lot of my gameplay, this card's just absolutely insane, so you guys should definitely be running this. I know some people have said it's like win more, very good branded players have said it's win more, but I think this format's very good. And also just having the ability to make Cartesia a lot better of an end board piece, you know, making the lad, and then also like, you know, using your Chaos Star source as like a resource is very good in the grind game, and playing through hand traps and like things like shifters. So just very underrated, and also just a way to recur back your Mirror Jade. It's just like so good. And then 1 fusion duplication to play through hand traps, and then the extra X very standard. 1 Titanclad, 2 Albion, 1 Quertus, 2 Mirror Jade for the Unicorn, because there's a lot of them. And also, I just think like sometimes like you'll see in the 1 game you needed Mirror Jade. Actually, I uploaded to the channel, I needed the 2nd Mirror Jade in this combo. I also had Adlib in a previous version of this build. You guys might see in the gameplay, but Adlib's very good. So you know, that is what it is. But I chose not to run it in the final build, and didn't run it for the rest of the days. 1 Lubellion, 1 Alba. This wasn't in here for the most of the time, but I just kept like losing to Blue Eyes randomly once I hit like Diamond 1, so I just had to like run Alba, and this card was pretty okay. It didn't really come up. This card honestly didn't come up at all during the grind, but it's there just in case. 1 Grand Guignol, I wish I could run 2 for the grind game, but I'm not running a Proskenion anyway, and 1 Quem, so it's like fine. And I'm not running the lock or Adlib, so that's fine too. 1 Rinbrum, just such a good end board piece, especially because Verte, like you can always set up Rinbrum, since Verte puts an Albaz in your graveyard plus Mirror Jade on board, so Mirror Jade can send the Rinbrum. So you always have 3 interruptions through a single Verte because of Rinbrum, so this card's so goated. 1 Sanctifier, this card's absolutely just insanely good in Master Duel, because even without the lock, once again, I think the lock is pretty bad in Master Duel because there's no Ido. I think Ido's the only good lock target left for branded. I think the rest of them are pretty bad. I would not run Vice King at the moment because of things of like Engraver, right? Like Vice King, it was good when Engraver was not legal, and then it became legal, so it is what it is. So Sanctifier is very good, and very good to play through Maxi and Fubulos. I'll show you guys in the combo. And then 1 Chaos Star Source Dragon, just absolutely required. It makes your branded fusion like a pop 2. It's worse in the TCG though, because it doesn't, or in Master Duel, because this does not pop 2 if you use it as a Super Poly target, but still a very good Super Poly target for Blue Eyes. But yeah, if you're in the TCG, this helps you pop 2 if you use your opponent's monsters in OCG because of how it's worded. And Master Duel uses the OCG rulings. It does not pop 2, so yeah. It's way better in TCG, but I still think it's very good because you can make it through your, you know, Branded White, Branded Red, and Branded Fusion to pop 2, which is very good in a grind game. And then the Guardian Chimera, equally just as good in a grind game. You only have Brandon Red for it, but we have the double Retribution, so we're going to get to it eventually for the crackback, and also we have Ash Blossom to draw off of it, which is very good. And then Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, and we'll probably be like, our deck will be thinned a lot, so like you actually draw Ash Blossom a lot of the time, or just like Maxi, which is very good, or just like a grind game piece. And then Lad, just so good. This card like has won me so many games. This card has actually won me the most games on my grind going first. Such a good card. Most decks just scoop in the face of this. And then Verte, this card is also very good. It didn't come up too much in my grind, but you know, it was very good in the Snake Eye format, to where I'm just never not running it again. Just helps you play through so many hand traps. So yeah, that's the list. Let's get into some combos and show off some gameplay. And once again, leave 200 likes down below, and we will make some more Master Duel gameplay on my list, on my Master 1 grind and all that fun stuff. Comment down below what your favorite part of the deck list was, and let's get right into it. So we're going to show off the 1-card Aluber combo that I know a lot of you guys already are quite familiar with, but for those who don't know, this is the most important 1-card combo in Branded, because you could use this at any point that you have 1 Aluber in rotation. All you really need is 1 discard, but it could be any card in the game, so you are going to 99% of the time be able to use it. Normal summon Aluber, you search out the Branded Fusion, and then you can go Branded Fusion, and then send the Fallen of Albaz plus the Lubellion, get into the Albion, and then Albion effect, banish the Aluber plus the Albaz, and then summon the Lubellion. And then Lubellion, discard the Thrust, spin back the Albaz, spin back the Lubellion, and then make the Mirror Jade. Then we are going to tribute the Albion on field for the Bestial Lubellion in the graveyard that we sent off the branded fusion, and then use Lubellion's on-field effect. This is your nib checkpoint as well, so you know, if they nib you here, then you are likely going to want to chain Mirror Jade, so you can at least banish the Lubellion and then get another Titanclad in the graveyard. Now, if they don't nib you, that is fine, and then you are going to get the Lost, and then go to the end phase, and trigger the Albion's graveyard effect in the graveyard to then set out a branded banishment. This is quite important, because this card is going to get us into the Light and Darkness Dragonlord to give us 3 extra negates plus a search. So now, in the draw phase of your opponent's turn, you are likely going to want to go into branded banishment here, because you are going to want to negate any like board breakers or just like things that I think Lad's Omni Negate will suck up immediately. So you summon out the Albion from the graveyard, then banish itself plus the Lubellion on field for the Light and Darkness Dragonlord, which is an Omni Negate for 3, which is very strong off of 1 card plus the Mirror Jade banish. And then you get to also trigger the Lost without removing Light and Darkness Dragonlord's attack points, because Lost is not activating, it's just using its effect. And Light and Darkness Dragonlord only triggers on activations, so since it was already face up on the field, it is only using its effect. And you get to search out the Mercurier, which if your opponent removes your Light and Darkness Dragonlord, you will be able to use, because it won't be chain blocking the Mirror Jade. So this is effectively 5 interruptions plus a search off of the plus follow up off the Mirror Jade, because your Mirror Jade can then send another Albion, the branded dragon, to then get you, you know, like a branded in white or a branded opening to then send a retribution to the graveyard to get, you know, branded fusion back. I would say also that this board is a lot better when you have things like Forbidden Droplet and Super Poly on the board, because then you can just fuse off the Light and Darkness Dragonlord plus the Mirror Jade. And then, like I said, that's why I ran Stapelia a few different times. The Stapelia is great for having Super Poly in this situation. Also, just like having a Cartesia on board makes it so you can fuse off the Light and Darkness Dragonlord into a Chaos Star Source if you get another dragon. Of course, if you have another way to fuse, you will be able to search the Shrouded anyway. So yes, it's really good. And plus, you know, Mirror Jade could also send the Rinbrum, and you know, you have plenty of other interruptions. So that's why this combo is so like integral, because you can add on top of it, and it's very basic in the fact you only need 1 Aluber. Now, I think why I run this, you know, the Lad, because your 1-card Aluber is not as good without the Lad, and Lad is also pretty good now without having so many Bestials in the meta, since Fiendsmith isn't as prevalent. Like, obviously it's still there, but without the Fiendsmiths being there, I don't think there's a ton of Bestials in the meta in Master Duel right now. So, like, I think Lad is pretty good. It's really free. You just, like, win most games that you summon it, and it's really great in a grind game once again, because you can make this thing off of, like, Cartesia, not just, like, and branded in red and branded in white, not just branded banishment. So it's a great way to just use your bodies on board. So let's get into the next couple combos, which are going to be Verte combos. All right, guys, so this is going to be this is going to show off why Bestial Lubellion helps you play through most hand traps, as long as you have an Aluber plus a Bestial, or like basically any body. Like this Aluber literally could be a Molcharmi Fuelos and it would be doing the same thing. However, this is just you going to be playing through things like Imperm. So let's just say it's Aluber plus Lubellion. This is why I like running 3 Lubellion in my list, because okay, now I can go Aluber normal summon, and of course this is naked without Cartesia, so I could get Impermed or Veilered very easily. But if I do, that's completely fine. So in this situation, I get Veilered. Also, you guys can see, you know, on my spreadsheet, I do actually have the instructions for a lot of these combos. So then we go Bestial Lubellion here now that we've been Aluber, or Impermed on our Aluber, and then we can search out Bestial Magnamut, and we can then go Bestial Magnamut effect to banish the Lubellion in our graveyard. And you might be like, oh no, you banished Lubellion. That's totally fine, because you are not locked into fusions at this point. And this is Master Duel, so we can go Magnamut effect to then get a search in the end, and then we can link off the Aluber on our field, plus the Magnemite, and then go into the Predaplant Verte Anaconda, because all it requires is 2 effect monsters, so it's very easy to summon out in this deck, and this is why I tend not to overload on things like Fusion Deployment and Branded Opening, because then it ends up being I won't be able to convert my bodies into Anaconda, and this is why running a lot of Bestials is very good in Branded, because you can convert the Bestials immediately into Verte, and then you can go Verte effect. Verte is going to send the Fallen of Albaz from the deck, or sorry, send the Branded Fusion to the graveyard, and then copy its effect, kind of like Fusion Duplication, and then you can send the Albaz plus the Verte. You can either make Sanctifier here or make Mirror Jade, but I always make Mirror Jade here, because Mirror Jade loads up the Albaz and then gives you a Mirror Jade on board, and then obviously you might be like, oh, your board is just Mirror Jade, but then you get the Search off Magnema in the end phase if you use the Lubellion, and then so that's another interruption, right? Or just like follow up too, because this can then send another Branded Retribution if you run the second one like I do. And then you have the Fallen of Albaz in graveyard, so that's really good. So in this case, let's just say your opponent has a monster on board. You can go Mirror Jade, clear the monster. Like, let's just say that's a Snake Eyes Ash. You don't want it to use its on-field effect. Or that's like a body about to convert into a Link, like a Closed Moon or something. Or just like into a Blue Eyes Link, obviously, with Blue Eyes being very good. You can go Mirror Jade effect, then send the Rinbrum to the graveyard, and then you can use Rinbrum effect to summon the Fallen of Albaz from graveyard. So that's going to be your second interruption. So you already had to banish off the Mirror Jade, and now you can go Fallen of Albaz to discard the Sarnier that you searched, and then you can fuse off whatever they end up having, right? Like a light or dark, you're likely going to get there, right? So then you can make like an Albion, for instance, and then you can immediately make a Chaos Star Source. No matter if you're going into Lubellion or Albion, it's going to probably just, in my build, you're going to likely make the Chaos Star Source, and this is why this card is very much required just for the crackback moves off of, Branded Fusion plays with Verte and stuff like that, especially. So yeah, no, very good. And that's your third interruption, right? So you get 2 more pops, plus a fuse off, plus a banish, and then plus follow up with the Sarnier, sending the Retribution to get your Branded Fusion, and then obviously Chaos Star Source and get your Branded Fusion. And you can obviously, play through Branded Fusion, interrupts through Imperm plus Crackback. So yeah, we played through Imperm on Aluber very easily there, and we get to keep playing the game, and that's why Verte is so devastating. I'm going to show you guys another Verte line very quickly too, which is why I run High Spirits. Alright, so we're going to start this combo with Albion, and we are going to send the Fallen of Albaz to the graveyard, just in case we get Ash on our branded High Spirits here. We branded High Spirits here on Chain to Albion because it's quick play, and, Albion can bait hand traps here. So we'll go High Spirits, send the Albion itself so we don't get the draw, but we can get a search, and then we can also send Albion the Branded Dragon from the extra deck to the graveyard to play around hand traps. This means that, we'll have a target for Branded in red, which is really good if we get like Asher Impermed, and now we can get out the kit from our deck. And now that we have a Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard, we can go Cartesia effect, and then special summon itself, so we can play around, at least an Imperm, and now we can special summon out Kit without even using our normal summon. Watch out for Maxi, of course, but now we can go Kit effect, but if your opponent then goes, Imperm on Imperm on Kit. Okay, we'll chain Cartesia. This is how we play around the first hand trap. Okay, well, what if they do Valor on Cart? This has actually been a situation I've gotten into on stream. So we've been double hand trapped. Well, we've already played through the double hand trap by doing Albion plus a Cart on board, right? So in the end phase, we get to go, Albion effect, get Branded in red already, make a Mirror Jade with the kit, and then fuse off with the Cart or something for a Grand Guignol for further interruption. But this combo gets a lot better with Verte, and this is one of your most common combos, so this is why I'm showing it. Yes, it's a 3-card combo, but a lot of the time this is playing through like 3 hand traps, so this is why I do want to show this line. You can link off the kit and the Cartesia and then go into Verte, and then you can go Verte effect, pay 2,000, and then you can send the Branded Fusion to the graveyard, and then you can just end up going into Mirror Jade, obviously, once again, by sending the Albaz to the graveyard and then itself to make the Mirror Jade. And at this point, your board is actually going to be really, really good, right? Because then you go into the end phase, you can trigger the Albion in the graveyard and get the branded in red to the spell and trap card zone. And then you can get the Cartesia to hand, which is going to be very important for, like, you know, whether you want to discard for the Rinbrum or to make a Guardian Chimera, for instance. So this is just like your normal combo, but except that you get actually a lot more, because then you can obviously go Mirror Jade, do your thing once again, send the Rinbrum, you know, banish a card, you know, Rinbrum effect, banish itself, summon Albaz, summon out another guy, you know, whatever you end up, you know, going into, whether it's Albion into Chaos Star Source once again. But then also you do have the branded in red, which will be able to make the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord if you add the Shrouded Dragon to hand, which is a lot more than just a Mirror Jade. So you're making your traditional board essentially through like a couple hand traps here, which is going to be 3 interruptions, right? So that's also how you can do the same board essentially with Verte, which is very cool. So you could also make Guardian Chimera if you want like removal. Obviously, it doesn't have to be Lad, but I think Lad is pretty good in this situation too. So yeah, this is your Master Duel guide for May 2025. Obviously, the new ban list just got announced. I don't think much is going to change. You know, you might see Fire King here and there in some of these decks that just got buffed, but overall, it's going to be the same meta, and this guy is going to serve you pretty well. So thank you very much for watching. If you guys want to see a follow-up on some more combos and gameplay, like I said, give this video 200 likes and leave a comment down below. What was your favorite combo? What was your favorite part of this video? And with that being said, we will be seeing you guys later. MetaGamesGX signing out.